Hey you, come, gather around the campfire, and welcome to the party. This is Party Chat, a JRPG podcast where we talk about everything that we love in the world of JRPGs and other Eastern titles. I am one of your hosts, Cameron Hawkins, and with me, as always, is my party partner, Kevin Kenson. Kevin, how you doing?
I'm doing pretty good this morning. I'm trying to get a little bit more routine going on, so I had a nice little hour-long walk this morning, and just getting the heart pumping, and just feel nice and energized for our call. I was worried because I was like, oh no, like I'm gonna be like 5 minutes late, and then we all ended up shooting the shit for like 45 minutes. So
That's the way it goes.
It all works out.
Yep, so it goes. So it goes. And with us this week, we have a special guest from the Level Up Legacy podcast. We have Mr. Slam Zany?
Zany as zany as it can be.
Zany.
I try.
How
thanks
you doing?
for having me on. Good. Thanks for having me on, guys. I'm really excited for this episode. I mean, like Kevin, I had a morning walk, but I'm a few hours ahead of you guys, so it's like my lunchtime here.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, everything's been going well. Weather's good. Fall's in full swing. It's like my favorite time of year. So thoroughly enjoying that before it gets, super cold for the winter. But other than that, everything's going great.
And I wish we had fall here. I always hear legends of like fall is a season, and here it's just like you have slightly less hot summer, things are dying summer, and then you have like 2 months of maybe rain.
Yeah, as someone who goes to the Game Awards every year of the past 4 or 5 years now, and December, it's like really nice weather. It does not feel like wintertime at all in December in LA.
Yep.
It's great. Where are you based, Slam, if I may ask?
Oh, I'm on the East Coast in the Virginia area.
Oh, okay, cool. Yeah, I'm based in Nevada, so so we met Slam at PAX West this year, and
Good time.
along with your podcast partner Retro Brandon, and the vibes were good. The vibes were cool. Y'all are really cool people, and when we learned that you also had a JRPG podcast, we're like, bet we'll get y'all on eventually. So glad that you could finally be on the pod. We're gonna ask you in a bit to introduce yourself and give us a little bit of some of your favorite games and stuff like
Sure.
that. But before this, Kevin, we need to talk about this on the main pod.
What?
We need to talk about this on the main pod.
Oh, come on. No,
So
why can't we not leave things to the
No,
patrons?
you need to be punished for your words. So we recorded a Q&A this week, and the Q&A was simply us tier listing movie trilogies.
Yeah, it wasn't so much a
That's
Q&A
amazing.
as it was just tier lists.
Yeah, no, for sure. And Slam, I honestly, I hope you're on the right side of history with this.
Okay.
But this man had the audacity to say that Toy Story 2 is a 7 out of 10.
It's the weakest one of the three by far.
They're all masterpieces.
That is
All
not
three.
They're all great.
No,
Thank you.
my wife actually talked with her friends who are like Disney heads about like his friend was saying that initially she said that you said 2 is the best one, which they were like,
I did not say that.
yeah, I corrected that. So the first reply was, oh, well, I would think that if I never saw a movie before. And then when I said, oh, no, he thinks it stands up with the others. He doesn't think it's the best one, but it stands. And the reply was, that's worse.
Oh wow!
It's
okay.
It is no. I'm sorry.
I swear
it's not a bad movie.
swear.
It's not a bad movie, but it is nowhere near as good as 1 and 3. I'm sorry. It is. They made a sequel because the first one was successful. They retread a lot of similar concepts, and there's a couple good scenes. Like Jesse's scene is great, but like, it's whatever. It is a fine Pixar movie, nowhere near one of their best works.
I don't think it's a 7.
The 7 was me pushing Cam, to be honest. It's like an 8.
Okay. Okay, that's
Still
where
crazy.
I'm probably
No,
at. I
that's
would put
still
like
crazy.
1 at a 10, 3 at a 9, and I'm probably thinking 2 is a solid 8 to 9. Like I think 2 is probably on the level of 3 and 1 is my favorite.
Oh, see, 3 is
that's
like
where
so
Taste.
much better
First
than
off,
2.
taste, because I think a lot of people say 3 is the best. And don't get me wrong, 3 I think is a masterpiece,
Yeah.
but 1 is
No, 1
my
is the
favorite
best
film
one.
of all time.
Yeah.
yeah,
Um,
that's my opinion.
that being said, would you not still think that it is like one of the like top 5 best movie trilogies of all time?
Oh, true.
In the sense of like
Oh,
quality and like
yeah, I think especially if we're talking about, I mean, even especially when we're talking about Disney and those movies, like Toy
oh,
Story
yeah.
Well,
is
trilogies are not their strength, like, at all.
like Toy Story is like an outlier and is like one of the best things I've ever watched. And
Yeah.
then I mean, 1, 2, and 3 could almost just be like one movie. You know what I mean? And like it's that good. And that's how a trilogy is supposed to feel, in my opinion. So
I I, I do want to say like I do want to say really quick that Kevin, I genuinely believe that you are just exposed to people that are also incorrect and
No, dude, I watched that
also
shit at release. Like, I don't know what to tell
I
you, man.
watched that I watched
Hey
that shit
guys,
at release.
what
Like
about
again,
Toy Story
you were the
4?
first you were the first no, we don't talk about Toy Story 4. You were the first person that I've ever heard say that Toy Story 2 is short of fantastic.
I
Like I've
mean, like, it's good. It's just not. It's not 1 and 3, man. I don't know what to tell you. And look, at the end of the day, that's fine if I disagree with a lot of people. Other people can be
I
wrong.
know, but I'm just saying that like no, that's fine. You're fine. I'm just saying that this is the worst take you've had on this podcast, gaming wise or other.
Wow.
And I
Harsh
think
words.
If that's the worst, then I'm doing fucking great.
listen, we have in the Discord, we have designated channels for people to talk shit about our worst takes. So
Bring it.
like we're open to hearing. I'm a Kingdom Hearts fan. Kingdom Hearts is my goat. Like
Love Kingdom Hearts, yeah.
I'm totally cool with people saying that my takes are dumb because I've heard it my entire life. But anyway, Slam, for those that don't know who you are, please enlighten our audience and let us know, what you do in your creative space and some of your favorite JRPGs. And
Sure.
maybe a
Yeah.
hot take. Maybe a hot take.
Okay. All right. So I'll do my best here. Okay.
Yeah.
I am a huge JRPG fan. I have a channel on YouTube focuses heavily on JRPGs. I do previews, reviews, retrospectives, top 10 lists, and things like that. I also am a co-host on a JRPG focused podcast, Level Up Legacy, with my friends Retro Brandon and Avenger Mags, and we have great time over there. We do a lot of the similar stuff, you know, talk just get on the mic and talk about our favorite games. Um and then as for my favorite JRPGs in general, I mean, I would have to say the Persona series is like my thing. 3, 4, and 5 I'm obsessed with, have beat multiple times those games. My favorite game of all time is Persona 5 Royal. I am a huge Final Fantasy fan, huge, Square Enix fan in general. I love Dragon Quest. I love like all these HD 2D games that they're coming out with these days. My favorite Final Fantasy game is Final Fantasy X. That is definitely my go-to, and I actually recently replayed it this year and then did a whole video on why it's still my favorite and still hits as hard as ever, even now. As for a hot take, I think, and I've talked about this one a couple times before, and it's the heavy tutorials in modern games. And I think that games aren't giving us enough credit to kind of learn the systems and experiment with the systems on our own. And it can cut, like, I don't know about you guys, but when I jump into a game and that first experience when you like start it up and that first impression and you're really excited, you sit down for like, I don't know, maybe a 2 or 3 hour session with a video game, right? This is a hype moment, right? Ever since we were kids. So, and I've noticed in modern days, like sometimes those 2 or 3 hour sessions that you sit down with, it's just a tutorial the whole time, and you're not really having that much fun. You're just trying to learn the systems the very, very specific way the game wants you to learn them. And for me, sometimes that can be frustrating as someone who's been playing these games for a really, really long time. And I can use like Unicorn Overlord as a somewhat recent example, and we actually talked about this one on the podcast. And if you watch the podcast, greatest story ever told. Um, not really, but if you get the joke, you get it. But basically, you get in, and every step of the way, there's some sort of tutorial pop up with specific instructions on this exact thing it wants you to do and exactly how it wants you to do it. And for me, it's just like, I just want to play the game. Like,
Right.
give me an opportunity to learn these systems. And if I hit a wall or if I get to a point where it's like clearly the system's not working for you, then give me the opportunity to get a tutorial pop up or something. And I feel like I'll use a good example of a tutorial was like Trails of Cold Steel. So I'm going through the whole Trails series, and I'm at the Cold Steel arc currently. I put that on pause to play first chapter for obvious reasons, and I felt like it introduces you, like jumps you straight in, and gives you a full party, and lets you just go like all out with the combat for like the first hour and a half, right? And then you get into like the real beginning of the game, and it'll pop up with some tutorials here and there. But based on how you felt for that first hour and a half with the combat, you don't really have to go through those tutorials. You just be like, you can just like bypass them. You're like, oh, here's the combat. I feel it. I'm used to it. I get it. I don't need these tutorials that are popping up. I just felt like that was kind of a good structure. It gave me an opportunity in that first hour and a half to get a feel for the game, understand its systems, and then just play it. You know what I mean? And I think we need more of that. And I know I went really long-winded on my hot take, but here we are.
Yeah, I get it. I get it. I think there's a delicate balance to walk sometimes, and the one that I always go back to in my head as a kid, because I think this is a very nice, like, because it's one thing to be like, oh, modern games are always doing it, but like this has been a long-standing problem in some franchises, and I think one of the best examples is Pokemon Red and Blue, because it's like, y'all, I already caught Pokemon. Why is this guy stopping me from proceeding to then walk over and then you can't even rush past it. You can't say no to him. You can't. No, it's just, we're gonna watch this man catch a Pokemon, and it's gonna feel like forever to your child brain when you're just like, I already have a party. Like, what's happening?
Yeah.
And like, it's just a thing where I think there's different games walk at different balances. I was actually playing the Octopath Traveler Zero demo last night, and one of the things that happens with a lot of those Asano games, right, is they're kind of tutorial heavy, but only in that they basically give you a page, almost like an instruction manual. It's like, hey, read this or don't, whatever, and then you just go on. Like, you don't have to, like, it doesn't force you to go through a guided experience type thing. And I think that's where that tends to really get painful for folks, when it's like, hey, play this exact way, and it's going to take this long every single time, no matter how many times you've played the game. That's where it gets to be like, I understand the goal for this kind of guided experiences, but I wish in those scenarios, if you're going to go that heavy on it, just either give a skip option or give like a tutorial off mode or something. Like, just like give the ability to buy.
And
like,
some games do that.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. But there's some that don't, and it's a headache every time.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I think games have been way too hand-holdy nowadays, and it's really frustrating. But there's actually a couple things from what you said, just in general, that I thought was really funny. Because you said your favorite game is Persona 5 Royal. There's an ongoing bit on this podcast where like we love all the personas, but we both agree that we think that like 5 is the weakest of the 3.
No.
Yeah.
One of
Sorry.
our patrons is a huge 5 fan. He's just like, why? Why do I have to deal with this slander every episode?
Yeah. It's whenever we talk about Persona, we like immediately chuckle to ourselves because it's just a bit at this point. And to be clear, like all of them are masterpieces.
All of them are great.
Like all of them are masterpieces.
Incredible.
We just like, for me, I'm not a huge fan of the palaces in the sense of like, I don't like how they're like structured guided like experiences versus like the procedurally generated dungeons of 3 and 4. Specifically more I like 4 more. Like 4 is my favorite. 4 Golden is my favorite. Um but yeah, and you know, I like in general I think I like the cast more of the other two games. I like just like the general story of what's going on in the other two games cuz like I think that why I like 4 so much is because it's so intimate and it's so small in scope, while like Persona 5 it's like the
Yeah.
biggest it can be, right? You know, like literally globally recognized group of people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
um and yeah, I think those are like some of the elements that I prefer about Persona. But you know, in general, phenomenal game.
Yeah.
We're not trying to talk
Oh yeah.
down your game
And
at all. And also, I am a huge defender of Persona 5 Strikers. Persona
Love
5 Strikers is
Strikers.
amazing.
Yeah, I'm not a huge fan of those like Warriors type games either. But I felt Strikers did an amazing job of
yeah.
like breaking up the monotony with those games and making them feel more like Persona games.
Yeah. And it's definitely not like you can see the Warriors DNA, but it's not a Warriors game in the same way that I would say
It's an
like the
action
Hyrule
RPG.
Warriors game. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's like you can tell
exactly.
it's the same people that made this, but the goal was not we're making a Warriors game that is Persona. It's we're making a Persona game that has like more action combat.
Yeah.
They did not approach it the same way they would like Hyrule Warriors, Fire Emblem Warriors, Dragon Quest Warriors. You know, like all those different games. Yeah, it is different enough.
Um, there was one other thing I wanted to mention. Oh yeah, what were your thoughts on Metaphor? Like some light
Oh,
thoughts on Metaphor.
I'm a huge Metaphor fan.
Okay.
It's obviously got that Persona DNA, but I think that the JRPG genre in general is a little lacking in new IP. And I think that when you see, especially me, a huge Atlas fan, a huge Persona fan, when you see like that team putting out something with, you know, kind of the DNA and feel of Persona, but with an all new setting, all new characters, and a bunch of interesting innovations on the actual gameplay of that formula. It's really exciting stuff. I thought the writing was really well done. I thought the characters were great. I thought the pacing was stellar. But the archetype system and how that played into the actual moment to moment gameplay and builds and just having fun with that was the game changer for me. So it's up there. I still think like Persona 3, 4, and 5 are like better games because I'm a much bigger fan of like the lightheartedness and the in between moments that you have. Everything is so dire and metaphor all the time.
Yeah.
But it's up there. It's like right with those games, in my opinion.
Yeah, I have more that I want to talk about regarding this, and hopefully I remember by the time we get to it. But you know, we are talking about Persona for our topic of the show, so I will
We can
leave
stow
it for
that for
that.
now.
Yeah,
Yeah.
put that in my pocket for now. But yeah, so we have a pretty significant news week. We got some stuff to talk about. We also all have things that we've been playing to talk about, so it's going to be a pretty beefy episode. So strap in, everybody. But before we do that, we're going to get into some housekeeping. If you have been enjoying the show, please go to your youtube.com/@partychatjrpgpod to hit the subscribe button over there. We are trying to get to 500 subscribers before the end of this year. That'll allow us to get some more benefits on YouTube that will also potentially benefit you guys, the viewers, the listeners. So we'd really appreciate that. Even if you are an audio only listener, if you have a Google account, you have a YouTube account, go over there, just hit the subscribe button. We'd really appreciate that. Also, if you can give us a 5-star review on your podcast service of choice, whether it be Spotify, Apple Podcasts, etc., we'd really appreciate that as well. Lastly, go to youtube.com/Kevin Kenson and hit the subscribe button over there as we try and get him to 1 million subscribers before the end of 2025. And also, go to youtube.com/slam zany. Is that your actual URL? Just at
It's
slam
at slam dash zany.
at slam-zany and hit the subscribe button over there and subscribe to Slam as he does all the JRPG content. So yeah, all that good stuff.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. So our main news story, there was a State of Play Japan, the first one,
Yep.
that they did. And it was a little bit presented differently. There was an MC, kind of traditional for a lot of Japanese presentations. And we got updates on a lot of Japanese games, some cool, some not so cool. Kevin has all of that news lined up for us. So I'm
In my
going to
noggin.
pass the reins over to you.
Yeah, so this was, as you mentioned, this was their first State of Play Japan. And part of the point of that branding is the entire focus, as far as the content goes, they were Japanese devs, or at least Asian devs. I have a couple like Chinese announcements and such as well. But then also there was some like Japan-centric news. They clearly still wanted to market this to like international audiences, because outside of I think like one announcement, everything is still games that are like coming to everyone and are being released everywhere. But there were a couple announcements that were very much like, hey, by the way, like for the Japanese audience, here's some stuff that's especially important to you. Real quick before talking about games, I will dive into. They kind of closed the show. It was really awkward how they segued this. Actually, they did this whole like, why the PS5 is cool and you should buy one kind of segment. Like there was just like it was like an advertisement at the end. And then it kind of turns out the reason they did that is because one of the announcements they kind of snuck in at the very end is that similar to what Nintendo did with the Switch 2, they're releasing a cheaper region-locked version of the PS5 in Japan. So it's like, hey, like, have you not bought a PS5 yet? Are you still on a PS4? Are you, in Japan and want to get the next system? Here you go. Like, it's at a much lower price point than what it normally would be. And then the other hardware announcement they snuck in there as well that is interesting is we're getting a PS5 monitor. This is different from like, because Sony has done, obviously Sony is Sony. They have their displays, they have gaming focused ones like their in-zone ones, but this is like straight up the PlayStation monitor. Like it's got a white back with the black trim. It's got a PlayStation logo on it. I think the kind of funniest, just silly thing that I actually do think is kind of cool, but it's also hard not to giggle at, is it has a built-in DualSense charger that's like a little swivel hook that comes out below the display. So it's like, oh, when you're not playing, you just put your DualSense there and it charges up. And like, that actually is like, I think a useful functional thing, and it gets rid of like footprint if you have a charging stand or something. But it's also so silly that that's so far like the big sales pitch of it is like, it has a charger.
Yeah.
It also just looks. I mean, like Sony makes good displays, and like at least the write up we have right now sounds pretty solid. It's 27-inch, 1440p, 240 hertz refresh. Like, yeah, it's probably gonna be like a solid monitor. It's just very funny that as far as like being able to make it a distinct thing, they're like, it's PlayStation and there's a charger hook. Yeah. But yeah, like Sony in general, they've been really pushing, I think, PlayStation to be more of like a lifestyle brand, and I think this is just the next step in it. Right? They revealed those speakers at the last State of Play. They revealed, we've got like the in-ear buds and everything now. So I think they're just really trying to expand the list of accessories beyond just like, this is for your PS5. It's like, no, this is for your setup, all your stuff. You're a real PlayStation fan.
Yeah.
So yeah, that stuff's shiny. I'll be curious how it actually works out. As far as games go, this was a little bit of a weird one because I like not being too negative on this type of stuff, but I get why people do. As far as like big name games go, not a whole lot going on. A lot of reconfirmations of things that we kind of already know. They gave us another trailer for Dragon Quest VII Reimagined, which was actually kind of a big deal if you know the plot of DQ7. Like, it's basically new plot they advertised, and it's like, oh, that's a thing happening now. And if you don't have the context of the original game, it's just like, yeah, it was another trailer, whatever. So I thought that was kind of funny. As far as like other big name games go, Octopath Traveler Zero, they announced the demo shadow drop for that. So like, that's cool, but it's, this is a game we've already known about for quite some time. I think the two biggest announcements were the ones they did at the end, which were Marvel Tokon Fighting Souls is doing another closed beta. They didn't have any like cool new stuff to announce with that. It wasn't like a new character or anything like that, but the next beta is going to allow you to use the full roster of currently revealed characters, as well as have a couple new stages you can play on. And then they also announced DLC for Elden Ring Night Rain, which they showed off a couple bosses, including a couple series classics. Artorias is there, so I got to kill that jerk again. And we got to see like a little bit of some new playable characters in action as well. Outside of those, okay, there's a couple other big name ones. Sorry, Monster Hunter. They did a very quick, like, oh, here's like a monster being added in the next game, very fast. Like, I think it was like all of 7 seconds they dedicated to it. It was kind of silly. Time Stranger DLC. They gave us a trailer for. Sonic Racing Cross Worlds, we got an announcement of some new free DLC characters because they're Sega property stuff. So like I the monkey from Super Monkey Ball, Knights from Nights into Dreams, a pair of Sonic characters I've never seen in my life. I think they're probably from like comics or something. They're not from any of the games as far as I know.
I don't even know, and I'm the Sonic guy. I'm like, I don't know who those two people are.
I think the way they did their introduction, because they even did like kind of paneling type stuff, I think it's meant to be a reference to like one of the Sonic comic series. And I know a couple people that are like into that, like they're into Sonic to that degree. They're taking that content as well. And I know there were characters they hope to see. I don't know if this was them, but I think that's where these ones are coming from. And then as part, like also Sonic wise, they did show off a little more of that Pac-Man World 2, the repack.
Sonic DLC?
Yep, Sonic DLC being shown off for that. And then we also got a quick look at Dynasty Warriors Origins DLC that'll be coming out in the future as well. And then, yeah, it was just like, it's like a lot of these announcements individually are like cool. Like, I'm glad there's a demo for Octopath Traveler Zero. Like, cool, we got another beta coming up for Tokon. It's just like there wasn't like a big new thing outside of like the Night Rain DLC, I think, for a lot of people. Like, there just wasn't a stinger really to this whole presentation that I think people like to see. One thing that is cool about it though, that I appreciate, but I know doesn't like get everyone going. There was some nice highlighting of like some smaller dev team stuff that's coming out that are Japanese based devs. They had a couple horror games they showed off from a franchise I've not actually heard before, and I kind of want to look at now because it looks like they've been releasing games very regularly. Like it's this series where they're just shorter ones. They're dropping them like every 6 months called Broken Lore. So they showed off 2 of those games. Like both of them aren't out yet. So it's like, oh, here's 2 just immediately on the horizon. There was this like 2D platformer thing called Motion Wreck, which really cute, simple, old school looking art style with this gimmick that involved basically you can record your movements when platforming and then play those movements back, which is something you have to do to get through like certain later challenges. So it's like a neat, like, oh, like, yeah, I can do this over here to memorize this movement and then play it back over here. It's just like a really fun, I think, interesting idea that we've seen versions of, but not this exact execution. And then one that I'm a little more, maybe it's cool, maybe it's not, I don't know. I want to see more of it. Nevergrave, The Witch and the Curse. This is a roguelite this is a roguelite that's a 2D action platformer. I think the big sales pitch for it, though, is the fact that you basically have the Super Mario Odyssey Cappy ability, where you take your witch hat, put it on enemy, and then you can control them. And you get different, like, traversal abilities and combat abilities based on that, including my absolute favorite one they showed really quick was you're a little white cat, and you can roll on the floor and be cute, and it stuns all the enemies around you. It's like that. I love that.
That's awesome.
Yeah, like there's just you know, I think this was just like a fine presentation. I think Sony has had worse. I think because this was branded the way it was, there was maybe a little bit more hope. Like, oh, this is something different, so maybe they're going to like do something that'll be like a big splash with that. I mean, especially us being JRPG fans, I know there was all kinds of crazy speculation of what we were going to see at this showcase. And people always go into these things, I think, with way too high of expectations. And man, was this definitely not the one to meet those. Not terrible, just it was fine, We got some solid announcements. Yeah.
Yeah.
There was stuff there.
Yeah. Now, one fun thing. This is completely speculation, so but very fun thing. So the MC of this presentation is Yuki Kaji.
Yes.
Who is notably the Japanese voice for Hope in Final Fantasy 13.
Yeah.
And so people are coping that this will potentially lead to some sort of Final Fantasy 13 re-release announcement.
All 813 fans are just out there in the
And
streets.
fuck you. That's
I'm one of
me.
them.
Yeah, I know.
I'm one
Yeah.
of them too.
Yeah.
You got two of them right
I also
here.
don't
Yeah.
hate 13, so whatever. I'm just saying, objectively, the fans are few. I'm sorry.
It's true. There's not as many
And
of
they're
us as there
correct.
should be.
Let's be clear. Like, we can be in the minority and be correct.
Exactly,
So,
just like Toy Story 2. Perfect. I'm glad we're
no,
on the same page.
That's not the case. That's not the case. And so, yeah, Final Fantasy 13 is a good game, everybody. Crazy. Breaking news as we move on to the next news story.
Is this the Steam thing?
The Steam thing? We got new hardware from Steam, and it's very significant.
That is
Steam
also
has
why we need
announced-
to finish this up sooner.
Yeah, because you got to make a video now.
Yep.
Steam has announced 3 new pieces of hardware, a new Steam controller, a new VR headset called Steam Frame, and the Steam Machine, a PC console that runs the Steam OS. I'm going to talk about the Steam Frame first, because and please bear with me as I'm reading this as we're recording in real time. And so there's like I'm kind of like learning things as we go myself. So basically what we do know about the Steam Frame is I'm trying to see. So it has 2 storage options, a 256 gigabyte and a 1 terabyte. It has a 2160 by 2160 LCD. That's for per eye. Wi-Fi 7, dual speakers for each ear,
Yeah.
and it will run Steam OS 3.
I think an important
and-
thing to highlight real quick about
Yeah.
this headset.
Yeah.
Valve has not updated their VR headset in a minute, and the Index, which was like the main one you could buy most recently, that still involved having like a whole goddamn setup going on. Like you needed to have motion trackers and like set up little things. This is like the new lower profile approach that we see most modern consumer friendly VR headsets have. Like you put the headset on and you grab the controllers. That's like the biggest thing I think about this, right? Like it is an update to their VR line that is hopefully more consumer friendly for the handful of people still excited about VR. But much friendlier option compared to how Index worked, because that was just going off of much older, kind of more annoying tech. If you don't have a large room you can just dedicate to a VR setup.
Yeah.
Yeah. VR is interesting for me, like where it's like I want to be more into VR, but I just feel like when it comes to just games, it's just not entirely there yet. There's obviously some notable ones, right? Like Asgard's Wrath 2, Batman Arkham Shadow. Like there are definitely a few of those, the go-to like Beat Sabers and like, Pistol Whip, things like that. But there's just like not enough there for me as someone who has bought a VR headset before to like be super interested in like getting back into that space in a real way.
Yeah.
But yeah. So, do you mess with VR at all, Slam?
No. VR kind of makes me sick.
Okay, that's common.
Whenever
It's pretty
I
common.
play it.
No,
I
that's
can
it.
play it for maybe 10 minutes.
Yeah. I will say there's been a lot of advances in like understanding why it throws off people's equilibriums, and more games are coming with options to like help with that. You just also need to like kind of do your research and know, because like I get
Yeah.
sick really easy with VR as well. And a thing a lot of games do now is they'll have things like a teleportation movement mode. So it's like, cool, you can move in real time if you want, but if you're the kind of person where that's immediately going to make you want to throw up, like me, you can turn on that kind of teleport mode where instead it's like you look at a place and go, okay, I want to be standing there now. And like, does that break some of the immersion and like that aspect of VR? Yes. Does it let me play for longer than 20 minutes? Also, yes.
Yeah.
So, it's just kind of knowing your own limits. And I think, that's a problem that they definitely have been trying to fix, but it is also a very common reason why people don't get into it, right? Because it's like, cool, I spent $300-400 on a thing, and now I just want to puke every time I wear it.
Yep. Yeah, I'm with you.
Um, Now regarding the Steam Machine, this is really interesting. So the Steam Machine, obviously Steam OS. Apparently it's basically like a cube,
Yep.
and it's like a roughly 6 inches,
GameCube's back,
uh,
baby.
which is wild.
Yeah. It actually
It
looks a
has
lot like it looks like when people were doing mock-ups of the Xbox Series S before we knew it, where they just took the X and cut it in half. Like that's basically what this is, like visually. It's just like, yeah, it's
yeah,
just a little black cube with some inputs on the bottom.
yeah. It has a 1 gigabyte Ethernet, 1.4 DisplayPort, HDMI 2.0, one USB-C, and four USB-A ports. 4K gaming at 60 FPS with FSR, and it has a semi-custom AMD desktop class CPU and GPU. There are two storage sizes to start out. There is a 512 gigabyte and a 2 terabyte. And then both come with and then you can expand the storage through micro SD cards. And then the Wi-Fi has Wi-Fi 6E plus Bluetooth 5.3 with a dedicated antenna, and the power brick is inside the cube. And the thing that's interesting about it to me is that it also serves as a actual PC. And I'm wondering like what that looks like. Like if I want to just have the Steam machine specifically to play my Steam games, can I still have like another piece, like my normal PC alongside that? That's something I'm curious, like once people actually get hands-on with this thing.
Sure. Well, I
Um
mean, like, so conceptually, it's running SteamOS, and it is a Steam Deck that is more powerful and not inside of a handheld shell, right? Like, it is a little
Yeah.
cube. And so when they say that it's still a PC, it's a PC in the same way that the Steam Deck is. It's just that the Steam Deck is not exactly a way you would want to do word processing, or you know, you wouldn't want to edit on a Steam Deck like handheld interface. So SteamOS is really just like a shell over Linux. And so if you didn't want to like modify this thing itself, yeah, like you could boot it up in like a Linux desktop mode and use it that way, and use it the way you want. Or if you wanted to, you could just like install over SteamOS and like reboot it to be Windows, and just use it as a Windows PC if you wanted to. Or you could also do a thing where like you could have a separate drive and have it actually boot from a different drive depending on which OS you want. So it's like, hey, you know, I'm in productivity mode, whenever I edit on Windows, I'm going to boot it in Windows mode, or keep it in that Steam OS mode for playing your games, because that's the real goal of that. Um, yeah, it's interesting because like I love how it's like, and it's a PC, as if that is some kind of like interesting big change from Steam Deck, and it's like, no, I mean, so is the Steam Deck. It's just that this feels more natural to do that with, because it's a little box you can put on a desktop and plug a keyboard and mouse directly into, instead of like, oh, I gotta dock it and then plug things into the dock and then, you know, plug that into a monitor. And it's like it feels like a whole thing to someone that's not like familiar with what these things do.
I feel
yeah,
like this is a really interesting thing for a couple reasons. One, it kind of opens up some streaming opportunities to things like the Steam Deck and everything like that. But two,
mm,
Microsoft had announced that they were doing basically this for the next generation. That it was basically going to be this, and then Steam beats them to the market with a
Yeah.
much larger user base. So I think this was Microsoft's pivot for the issues they've been having with Xbox's success, and this doesn't necessarily look good for them.
Yeah.
Yeah, because Steam
well,
just has such a massive install base, and with everybody that's been adopting the Steam Deck, which obviously the Steam Deck doesn't have like this humongous crowd, but it does have some pretty dedicated followers, and most people have a Steam account.
Yeah.
So I'll be interested to see kind of how this plays out on that front.
Yeah, I would love for SteamOS to be opened up to support like more launchers. And I know there's ways to do that with like the Linux desktop part of it, but a lot of stuff just doesn't have the compatibility built in for it. And so if there was
Yeah.
better support for like, hey, I want to be able to run like these other launchers and have access to these library of games, because Steam is absolutely where like, you know, 95+% of my games are. But there are still those situations where it's like, this guy released a game on itch and I gotta just find a way to play that, on what hardware I have available. um yeah, it's very interesting. I think the big thing that would happen with them and Microsoft would be what they end up doing power level and like pricing wise, right?
Yep.
Because we don't know the
Yeah.
pricing on this thing yet. It's one configuration as far as power goes. Like the only difference is the storage, as far as we can tell from what they've announced so far. Um, so it's like, does Microsoft aim to offer like a souped up, more powerful version at like a still relatively aggressive price? Or are they targeting that same price point of, or do they just make it easier for you to just install that OS on whatever you want?
Yeah, it's interesting too because I mean, you've got the Rogue Ally X thing
Yeah.
that is insanely expensive. So it's hard to like estimate where Microsoft's going to land
Yeah.
on their like are they going to go for like look, we got this ultra premium powerful device and that's what we have for you to buy. If you want to play Xbox on anything else, it plays on everything, your
Yeah.
phone's an Xbox, that whole
Yeah,
push.
this is an Xbox.
Yeah.
One of the things that I want to mention as someone who is pretty like not a PC guy is that like I think that the Steam machine is like targeted for me. I feel
Yeah.
Sure.
like that as someone who's also like Xbox for a very long time is and was my place to play. Like that's where I liked to play things, and like the fact that JRPGs and even so still like struggling a bit, um, not getting a lot of like releases on Xbox. I would play the PS5 when I needed to, of course. Um, but with how Xbox has been over the past like few years, and most recently this year, I even said like last episode that I was kind of looking at doing a significant upgrade to my PC and then just like maybe not getting the new Xbox console when it comes out because they still release things on PC and like I can play through that way. But this is nice as someone who like doesn't really like to play on PC, but Steam does have like there's a lot of PC only games,
Mhm.
right? And this is a way that I don't need to be at my PC to play those games and I can just be like on my couch and I can just have a Steam controller, or hopefully they let you use other controllers.
They will. It's
And
it's running Steam OS. You can use whatever controller that
okay.
supports.
Yeah. And play that way. Because I know that like as we get review codes every now and then, there's definitely some times where it's like, hey, we don't have console keys yet, we only have Steam keys. And normally I'm just like, all right, I'll wait for the console key because I don't really want to play this on Steam. But this kind of like mitigates that, right? It's like, oh cool, I'll just play on my Steam machine and like that'll be how I play this game.
Yeah.
Um and so yeah, I just think that this is something that really interests me. Not particularly as like a PC, but just as a like a PC console
Yeah.
that allows me to play on a couch with a big TV and like the way I like to play, and
Yeah.
I'm excited about that.
Oh yeah, and that's 100% the goal of this thing, right? Like hardcore PC heads are not necessarily looking at a pre-configured cube that, unless it ends up being just like a killer price for the power offered and like the size of the body. Um, this is 100% targeted at same way Steam Deck was, right? Like it's this kind of hybrid approach of it is still a PC at the end of the day, and there are things about that need to be figured out. But we're putting it in the best packaging we can for someone who just, for whatever reason, doesn't like engaging with playing games that way. They're used to a console experience. They want it to be as low friction as possible. Here it is. And I think that's something that's, even with the attempted competition from other devs, like Steam's the only one pulling this off so far. Like, even with the new Xbox Ally thing, right? Like, I think it closes the gap significantly more than any other Windows PC handheld I've used. You're still running into the problems that is the fact that it is a Windows PC handheld. Like, it masks it way better, but those issues still crop up that I just don't experience on Steam OS. Because at the end of the day, it is a
Yeah.
purpose-built OS for that use.
Mhm.
So yeah, I agree with you. Like you are the person they are trying to sell this to, and I am kind of too. Like I'm fine with PC gaming, but I also kind of dig just having a simplified thing. My only thing is just the fact that SteamOS limits me to only things that are on Steam, at least within their native interface. And
Yeah.
if there was a better support for like games released outside of that ecosystem, that would really be the killer. Like okay, like now I have no reason to like stick with a Windows PC.
Sweet. Alrighty, we're gonna go back to our schedulely programmed docket here. Uh, Trails in the Sky, second chapter, is confirmed to launch by September of next year. Peak is coming.
Yeah.
Peak is coming. What can we say? So you said Slam that you're playing through the series right now and you're on the Cold Steel arc. What
Yeah.
is your favorite Trails game so far?
Azure is my favorite Trails game so
Azure's
far.
peak, dude.
Yeah,
Azure, like
it's so good.
I,
Um, it it just has one of the best payoffs in any series that I've ever played in my entire life. It's mind blowing. Um, but I really like as like a trilogy. That Sky trilogy is just so good. And second chapter is the best game in that trilogy, in my opinion. I think it has great payoffs as well, and Estelle and Joshua are amazing characters. And after seeing what they did with first chapter, then that trailer for second chapter, like unbelievable, man. I'm so hyped for this and I'm so glad it's coming soon. It's going to end up, I mean, all this is making me hold off on my, playthrough of the Cold Steel games because man, I love Sky. I'm not going to skip out on those. Those are like day one plays for me. So second
really,
chapter is going to come around. I'm going to play through that, and this having it come so soon after first chapter, definitely the right move. Love that they're doing that because the cliffhanger at the end of first chapter is just so massive and insane. All the
is it
new people playing it are like, oh my god, you know
is
what
it
I
the
mean?
best cliffhanger of any game ever?
It's
Like
up there. It really
it
is.
might
So
be.
unexpected. So
Yeah.
unexpected.
Which is
Brandon was
Oh, to be
important.
playing
clear,
it.
hold on. To be clear, Kevin does not know.
Oh, he doesn't know.
Kevin has
Okay.
not played. No, so there's been this ongoing bit on the podcast where he's like, "I'm gonna play the original and then I'll be ready for the remake."
Look, it's
And
been a year, all right.
to
It
be
has been a
clear,
year.
no, you do not get a pass here because here's what I'll say: is that the how me and Kevin actually met was during the pandemic. Um, Jeff Keighley and Greenberg, who's like the VP of marketing at Xbox, they would hold these. You remember Clubhouse?
Yeah.
Yeah, they would hold these like weekly Clubhouse things where a bunch of just games industry folk would come together and just talk about the news, talk about gaming for the week. And everyone was talking about like, oh, what have you been playing? What have you been playing? And everyone's talking about something modern. And I'm like, oh, I'm playing The Legend of Heroes Trails in the Sky right now. And then Kevin DMs me on Twitter being like, yo, you play Trails? Like, that's awesome. And that's how we like befriended each other.
That's
Yeah.
That
awesome.
being said, he only like played part of the first game and that was like kind of it. And he has not been like, and that was like what, 5 years ago? And he still has not played any of it. And so you don't have the audacity. You don't get to say like, oh, like, you know.
Do I
Yeah,
get a better?
just play the remake.
Yeah.
I mean, it's really beat for beat. I mean, it's very, very similar story wise. Like I played the original. I started Trails like, I don't know, I want to say like 2 years ago. And I plowed through that Sky trilogy because
Yeah.
like I couldn't put these games down.
Yep.
But after playing the remake, I'm like, this is just so close to the original beat for beat story wise that like, and a lot of people ask me in the comments of my videos or in general, like, should I play the original before playing the remake? And I'm like, well, in my opinion, I enjoyed the remake more because I played the original, but it was because I played the original before the remake existed. And I felt like I got some of that, extra jaw dropping experience from having that previous original experience. I think having the remake already out and them playing the original right before the remake, I feel like you do lose that benefit a little bit. And therefore, I would say just jump into the remake. It's the all around better experience, in my opinion. But
The one thing that, and I know this is probably an unpopular opinion. The one thing about the original that I like over the remake is the combat. I like the turn-based combat. I like the just like how the first two arcs gameplay wise were designed. I like I like that more, and I think it fits Trails more, than, like, when we got to, not just the 3D shift in Cold Steel, 'cause that was still pretty much like what
Yeah.
that was, just in a 3D space. And I don't mind the action turn-based hybrid, but I just, like, prefer turn-based combat normally, so it's just just a personal preference. And it is nice kind of to get that compare and contrast. And also
Yeah.
I do love the aesthetic of the first two arcs. I love
Yeah.
like the chibi-esque like
Sky and Crossbow.
style
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
like yeah, and also just the art direction of the Sky trilogy in particular, so good. Like the portraits and like all that stuff, so good. It just has such an identity that I don't think the other arcs have when it comes to the originals, which is why like I would tell people like I think you should play the originals because there's stuff to appreciate here, outside of just it being like the the original, if that makes sense,
Mhm.
Yeah.
versus the remake. Yeah, Azure is a great pick. I do think Azure's Azure is second on my list. I like second chapter more, but part of that, a part of that, of course, is because of the cast, because of the location, things like that. But you're not, I'm pretty sure I've said on the podcast to Kevin before, where like the last 8 hours of like Azure
Yeah.
is the most incredible storytelling. Like
It's wild.
the way that there's like all of these twists, like, and I don't know if you felt this way, but it made me think like there's no way it gets better than this. Like
Yeah.
they've hit the climax of like what they can do with this story, and then they have like another plot twist and it's even better. And they do that like 4 or 5 times
Yeah.
throughout the last 8 hours of the game. Like, how did they do this? Like it's just
Yeah.
so good. But yeah, I do like second chapter more. I think like I think that when I finished second chapter, I literally was just like, I just played one of the greatest games ever made. Like that was
Yeah.
like the immediate thought in my mind. And Azure, like even though like the last 8 hours are just like absolutely incredible, I think that it's just like the beginning's just like a little slow to start. Like like more of it's kind of like a roller coaster. It really is just like a roller coaster. Um, which is great. But yeah, it's just like I probably would have to replay it, but I probably would say like it's a 9.5. Like it's so close to like a 10 for me. But like the last 8 hours are just like incredible.
Yeah.
Anyway, uh what next do we got? On top of Trails, we know that East 10 Proud Nordics is officially coming to PS5 in 2026. Which is good because I thought it was weird that they were only doing Switch 2 for the longest time. I'm not going to play this because I don't think East 10, like I liked East 10 a lot. Did you play East 10, Slam?
I haven't played it yet. I had it
Oh.
in my backlog until they announced Proud Nordics, and then I was like, well,
Mm.
I'll just wait. So
Yeah. See, I literally finished East 10 maybe a week before they announced Proud Nordics.
oh
And
wow.
I was so mad. I was so mad because I and we'll get to it when we talk about Persona, but I do not like these updated re-release with new story content bullshit. Like I hate it. And so like when I learned that, I was like, I did not like East 10 enough to justify playing through this game like straight, like at least at launch. Like I can't do it. So I'm not gonna play it straight away. But it's cool that it's happening, I guess. But for those that didn't play East 10, but as someone who finished it and like this was announced right after, boy, and yeah, not cool.
Right.
Not happy about that. Uh so we do have more details regarding the Monster Hunter thing that they showed at the state of play. So this is for the free title update 4. It's releasing Tuesday, December 16th, and it's adding the Gogmazios, I think that's what you call it. Um, and then it adds like more expanded gameplay content, weapon balancing, and then the seasonal event, Festival of Accord. And then apparently there's going to be a Monster Hunter showcase in early December where we're going to get more details on that, as well as the updates on Monster Hunter Stories 3. Have you played Monster Hunter Stories at all yet, Slim?
Yes. So I haven't played the original. I played 2. And I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, I
I'm
heard
not the
two's great.
hugest Monster Hunter person. I do play them like pretty casually though. Uh, like if I have friends that are playing the Monster Hunter games, I'll jump in there, I'll play them. But I know some people have put like hundreds and hundreds of hours into these games, and yeah, it's just that's not how I play them. It's very casual interest in the series.
Yeah, it's pretty wild how much of a not like a flop, but just uh I guess a light flame Monster Hunter Wilds had this year. Like a lot of people thought like, oh, this is like guaranteed game of the year contender. Like, everyone had that mindset. And the game came out and it was just like y'all kind of streamlined this a little bit too hard. And a lot of the magic that we got from World is not here.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, it ran into that kind of classic issue of how uh, you try to broaden your audience by like finding a middle point that might appeal to them more while keeping the current fans happy, and it ended up doing neither. like,
yep.
Yeah.
like people who weren't into Monster Hunter were still like, "Yeah, I think I'm just not into this," and people who are into Monster Hunter are like, "What is all this plot I can't like? I have to sit through and deal with, and like, why does this work this way now? And like, what is all this like?" It just ended up making no one really truly happy. Like there are people who like the game, but in terms of just like the general trend, it just did not work the way I think they wanted it to.
Yeah, as someone who normally like doesn't like games where it's like very story light to the point where it's like just have no story or like those type of elements,
Yeah.
when they did do that, I'm like, "Oh, I understand why Monster Hunter, should stick to what it does because this is not it.
Yeah.
This is not
Well,
what
and
we what
the point of
this is not good."
the story is the guided tutorial. That is what it is a 10-hour whatever, like working your way through what plot there is and then learning how to hunt, and then you can just do end game, and that's the actual goal, right? Like
Yeah.
that's what Monster Hunter is. It is not the story you're playing through.
Yeah.
Next story, Pikmin 4 has released a pretty significant update that includes kind of interactions with Pikmin Bloom. Um, I'm just gonna kind of read down some of the things that they've added because there's quite a bit. So now there are 3 difficulty levels for creatures: relaxed, normal, and fierce. You can now take pictures with the field camera item and decorate them with stamps and frames. Decor Pikmin will now appear in the story. By sharing the data of Decor Pikmin who have joined your squad in the full version of Pikmin 4, with the smart device application Pikmin Bloom, you can also get seedlings for these same Decor Pikmin in Pikmin Bloom. You can now use Rollover, in which you can begin another playthrough, carrying over some of the save data on a file that has cleared the story. If you've ever reached the morning of day 2 in the story, you may skip that introduction when playing again from the beginning. And then there have been new controls added. You may switch between enabling and disabling auto target lock for cursor. You may select either the cursor or the player avatar as the center point of the whistle. And you may now either select normal or precise for the speed of the arrow that appears when you hold down X to aim. Setting this to precise will make it easier to adjust the direction of the Pikmin's charge and Ochi's rush. And yeah, that demo is out now. And but if you play the demo version, all the Pikmin Bloom stuff doesn't work. So yeah. All right, definitely some quickies now moving forward. PlayStation 5 has shipped 84.2 million units worldwide, and Ghost of Yotei has sold 3.3 million units. You play Ghost of Yotei,
Yeah.
Slam?
I've started it.
Okay.
I'm probably like 15-ish hours in. I'm loving it, having fun. It's a nice change of pace from a lot of the games that I play. So,
Yeah.
yeah, I liked Ghost of Tsushima, and I feel like Ghost of Yotei is very similar to Assassin's Creed Shadows in terms of story structure,
Yeah.
but I just think it does everything that game did better. So yeah, I'm having fun with it.
It's definitely a more focused experience. Like Assassin's
Yeah,
Creed, even though Shadows is relatively scaled down compared to what they did in like Valhalla and oh god, Odyssey, uh, it's
yeah,
still like a very large. It's still like a good like it's quite a bit larger than the map of Yotei. and it's denser, right? There's so many just like, oh, go here to pray to these six shrines. Go here to find these like little pieces. There's just a lot of busy work that Assassin's Creed has a habit of like shoving in to add playtime. Whereas Yote feels a lot more laser focused on like, hey, look, you're gonna take down bases. There's gonna be a couple collectible type things, but they all feel a bit more intentional, interactive, and not just like here's a thing to add 6 minutes to your game time. You know?
Yeah.
Sonic Racing Cross Worlds is getting its Nintendo Switch 2 edition on December 4th. It'll be priced regularly at $69.99 if you haven't already purchased the Switch version. But if you do purchase the Switch version, if you did, there's a $5 upgrade pack that normally goes for 10, but it's 50% off until December 10th. And then users who buy the Nintendo Switch 2 edition will also receive the downloadable content Werehog pack as a bonus until December 17th. Also related to Sonic Cross Worlds, Ichiban Kasuga is
Hey,
now a racer in that game. So Kevin's happy.
my man.
Pokemon Legends ZA DLC Mega Dimensions launches on December 10th. One Piece Pirate Warriors 4 for PS5, Xbox Series consoles, and Switch 2 is launching on November 21st, alongside DLC characters Rob Lucci, Jewelry Bonnie, and Snake. And then lastly, Nintendo has launched a Switch 2 compatibility website for people to like search to make sure like if their if whatever Switch game is compatible, backwards compatible with the Switch 2, which is
Yeah.
neat.
Yeah,
Um,
they had that before, but it was like just a list you had to go through yourself, which was kind of a headache. So it's
yeah.
nice they just give you a quick like, hey, is this game yes or no? Cool. Like just get through it.
The last thing we need to talk about is the Super Mario Galaxy trailer that came out this morning. Um, Slam, what were your thoughts, and what were your thoughts about the first movie as well?
I love the first movie. I think the first movie is absolutely awesome. I think it's like
Mm,
it's one of those things where you get video game movies and stuff like that that don't really, I don't know, they don't do it justice, and for the most part they're very mediocre. But this was a very fun movie. Had a good time watching it, and I have watched it a few times since then and thoroughly enjoyed it. I loved the trailer for the Galaxy movie. Thought that was awesome. Um, and yeah, I'm really excited to see what they have in store for it for sure.
Kevin?
So I feel that it's important to lay this foundation again if people don't remember from past times I've talked about this. Um, I do consider myself a little bit of a Mario movie hater. Uh, I there was just choices and things of that movie that I just like. You know, I do my best to not like soak in dislike of things, and it's just like, yeah, it wasn't for me. I'm happy for everyone who enjoyed it. That said, uh, I like what we saw in this trailer. Like, I think there's a lot of good potential here. I think there's a good chance of them kind of not doing the things I didn't like the first time around. Uh, and look, at the end of the day, I think it's still going to be very entertaining for specific parts. I mean, the vast majority of it is focused on Jack Black's portrayal of Bowser, and for good reason, because that's some of the best stuff to come out of these movies. So yeah, it looks fun. I there's a part of me, ever so small, that mourns that we're getting this before we get like a Luigi spin-off that's just Luigi's Mansion movie, because that's kind of what I was hoping would be the next project. But you know, I'm down to see where this goes.
Yeah, I'm kind of in a similar boat as you, Kevin. Like, I don't hate the Mario movie. I just think I just thought it was a nothing burger of a movie for me. Like, I thought it was pretty. I thought it was like, I
Yeah,
like the colors.
I will
Um,
say, and I don't know if this is true for you too. Part of this for me is the fact that I am just not really a fan of Illumination. Like their
Oh
movies
yeah.
in
yes,
general do nothing for me, and so like that's already a bad starting point. To be fair,
yeah. So like, just kind of like throwing it back. Like when they announced that they were teaming up with Illumination, I was just like, I don't know about that, dog. Like outside of Despicable Me 1 and 2, I just think that like they haven't made any properly great animated movies. And so when I heard that, I was like, I mean, you can't work with Disney, and you're probably not going to work with DreamWorks because they don't they probably don't want to do that. So
Here we
I
are.
guess Illumination's like your only other option there. Um, and so yeah, like, and when I saw the first trailer for the first movie, I was like, okay, like I like what's going here. Like I'm interested. Um, I just I'm not crazy about Chris Pratt as Mario. I'm still not after seeing the movie. But I like, Jack Black as Bowser's like fun. Like I think that I've said it on the pod before, but my favorite interpretation of Bowser is the one where he's like bad at being bad. Um and which we normally see more in the RPG
Yeah.
series of Mario games, which I love, and this is more of that, which I can appreciate it more. Um, and seeing this trailer kind of gave me the vibes of the first movie. I'm like, cool, like this is a solid trailer introducing Rosalina and like introducing Bowser Jr. But, you know, knowing that I felt the same way about the first movie, and then that ended up being kind of like a nothing burger of a movie for me, I'm just kind of being like, yeah, this movie will come out. I might go see it in theaters. And I'm a big movie guy. Like I love going to the movie theaters to see movies. I'm very much like a person that like wants people to go to theaters to see movies, keep theaters alive. But I don't know. With this one, it's like I might catch it. I kind of like I will have to wait and see how people feel about it. Because the first movie like just did nothing for me. Like not even that I thought it was a bad movie, it just did nothing for me.
Yeah. Sorry, Slam.
No, you're good. You're good.
Well, we all have opinions. We've all had some hot takes this episode.
Actually, I'm excited for our Persona talk because we each like a different number.
Yeah. Yeah, our favorite are all
They're-
different for
yeah,
sure.
they're all from the later three, but anyways, we'll get there.
Now we're gonna get into what we've been playing this week. Slam, what you been playing?
Sure. So started up the Octopath Traveler Zero demo. Really enjoying that. I think, we played it back at PAX West. But that was like a later part in the game.
Yeah.
It was nice to kind of get some set dressing here, get some build up to what we're actually getting into. And I liked creating my own character. I thought it was fun. And then I think I've made it pretty far. The actual art style is very interesting here. So I do think it pops quite a bit more than the previous two Octopath Traveler games. I'm noticing that like there is a lot more contrast between the environments and the actual character models.
Yeah.
Which I'm actually really liking. And I think that overall music stellar as you would expect with an Octopath soundtrack. Yeah, voice acting, soundtrack, environments, the whole feel and the vibes of the game. It's right there. It's what I was wanting. It's what I kind of like go into expecting. And I know a lot of people were kind of wondering if this was going to be a different vibe because it had some ties to the mobile game. This feels like core Octopath Traveler to me in like every sense of the word. So I'm excited to jump in and play more. And then I'm still making my way through Pokemon Legends ZA. Dropping in and out of that one and kind of just slow playing it, but having a good time with that as well.
Nice.
What starter did you pick?
Oh, the water starter.
Actually, hold
Yeah.
on one second.
Oh, he's going to grab the child. Yes. His new.
He's got it.
Yep.
This is my baby. This is my baby boy.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
For people listening and not seeing, Cam went off camera to grab what I think is meant to be
Totodile?
to scale.
To scale, to scale Totodile. That the Pokemon set. So some background, because you don't know this, or you may not know this. Pokemon Crystal is my second favorite game of all time. And Totodile is my favorite starter of all time.
Oh, that's awesome.
And so, and for years, literally years, I've been like, when are, because I don't know if you saw it, but they do like a bunch of like life size Pokemon plushes. The Pokemon Center does, and I'm like, where is Totodile? Like, because I am convinced that the Pokemon company hates Johto for some reason. Like they
Yeah.
just don't do a lot for Johto, even though it's the best generation of Pokemon. That's an opinion, but come on, guys. And yeah, and so when they announced that they were doing these, dude, I like fell to my knees in happiness. I was like, finally. And it wasn't expensive either. Like I thought this was going to be hundreds of dollars because I've seen others go for hundreds. This was $60. $60. I actually want to get all the Johto starters, but I was like, I need Totodile. So
Yeah.
anyway, there's my little tangent there. uh yeah, Kevin, you played the Octopath Traveler demo as well, right?
Yeah, and like similar to Slam, I think one of the biggest things is that in past demos we've done, it was always like later slices of the game. You had the full party, which made sense for that because they wanted to make sure people knew how like the 8 character combat worked out. Um, so playing this, early, literally the beginning of the game, and only having a couple characters to work with, a couple things have really stood out to me as interesting. Visually as well, what Slam was saying. Uh, One thing I really dig about the character creator, and this is such a minute little thing, but I just love when this kind of stuff happens. Uh, some of the choices you'll make during character creation are like, oh, like what skill did you learn growing up? And it's meant to be a way of like, hey, like just have a skill right away at the start of the game to like use in combat. But it even gives like little flavor text of like why you learned that skill. It's like, oh, you were really interested in, this kind of thing, this kind of thing. So this person in the town taught you like how to do this. And I was like, oh, like that's just a nice little. I like that it's giving you some like character background a bit as well, and making your character. I just eat that kind of stuff up. Um, yeah, music incredible. I do think what's really interesting is having. I didn't play Champions of the Continent extensively, but I did dive into it like when it first released. I kept up with it for maybe like a couple weeks, um, and it really is an interesting way they balanced adapting it because like yeah, the whole opening with wish veil and like making your character and your backstory and why you're involved in the plot, this is all completely brand new stuff for Traveler Zero. And then it's like, oh, I'm gonna play chapter 1 of like the Lord of Fame, and now suddenly it's like 1-to-1 with what I did in the mobile game. Not 1-to-1 because like random encounters and enemies are balanced way differently for how this works because it's meant to play like a regular Octopath Traveler game and not a mobile title. But it's like, yep, this is the same map. These are the same plot beats involving this bad guy that I have to go take down. There's like a couple little adjustments to it. But it's very interesting where it's like, yeah, this is like this whole new game to me, and then suddenly I'm like, oh wait, I remember this part in like a totally different game. Uh, just very interesting to see how they've pulled this off, and so far great though. Like it doesn't feel out of place. Like you go into those chapters and it completely fits within the narrative they've now constructed around it. So yeah, really cool stuff. I'm excited for the full game to drop because I really want to see more of like the actual full character party members and stuff. I think something that's interesting based on the little bits I've seen is that, while this game does reuse the classes from past Octopath Traveler games, 2 characters can be from the same job, but like have their own expertise. Like I got a mage, and it was like, oh, her whole thing is that she focuses on like darkness and electric damage, and like that's her gimmick. So it's like, yeah, there's a scholar, and there's multiple scholars you recruit, but they're not all the same scholar. Like they have the same general concept, and I think the passives are probably going to end up being the same, but like their active skill lists are different, giving a little more interesting variety in those characters. At least that's the vibe I'm getting based on what I've seen in this demo.
Yeah.
That sounds cool. Like, yeah, I really enjoyed my time with Octopath Traveler Zero when we played it at PAX West. But again, like, just through my experience, I just think that those battles go on for way too long. Not boss battles particularly, but just like ad battles in the sense of like you
Yeah,
do an ad battle and it's pretty long unless you are like above level
sure.
or something like that, and then you walk for maybe 15 seconds, and then you get put into another fight, and it's just a long battle again, and it's like, that's the thing that I struggled with when I played Octopath Traveler 2, which a lot of people like absolutely revere at this point. And I just stopped playing because I just like felt like that I wasn't progressing in a satisfying way because of how often the random encounters were. That like I hope that when I get to Octopath Traveler Zero, that's like mitigated a little bit, and it doesn't feel as much of a slog there. Because yeah, it's just like one I played a good chunk of, and I just think that that is a pretty middling game outside of visuals and music.
Yeah.
But two, like I was really enjoying, but I was just like, I I can't. This is really bogging me down. So I hope Zero changes that when I get to it.
Yeah.
Um, I play a good chunk of Super Mario RPG. I played I streamed I did a charity stream, and one of my friend's favorite games who we're doing the charity stream for is Super Mario RPG. And initially I really wanted to like play the original and then play the remake. And then but I was just like, this has been on like near the top of my backlog for like for years at this point. I was just like, I just got to do it. I'm just gonna play it. So I played the remake. I've gotten about uh halfway through the game. Like I have everyone in my party except for Peach
Mhm.
at this point. Did not expect how quickly this game progresses, even though I know it's only like a 12-hour game. But boy, that game just moves.
Goes.
Yeah, you're just continuously going. Um, I it's interesting to me because I have I'm a big fan of the Mario and Luigi series, specifically Superstar Saga. Like I think that game's absolutely incredible. And when I play this game and I go back and I see like how it, was like the blueprint of a lot of stuff, how like, at least the first two Paper Marios kind of took like the party system aspects of it while, and to a sense the gameplay elements as well, but like then seeing the gameplay elements of it go into Mario and Luigi, um, I still think I ultimately like love the format of Mario and Luigi more. Like I do wish that Mario and Luigi had like a more traditional party system, but that's just like more of a JRPG preference more than like the game is hurt by it. I don't,
Sure.
that's not the case. But I was surprised that like there's what was the thing I was I I thought that there was going to be more uh like interaction in the combat, kind of like how Mario and Luigi is. But there isn't, which is fine. I just like was kind of surprised as the game went along. One of the things I really dislike, and I don't know if this was like this in the original, is that it basically does like an exclamation point when you want like when you should press the A button to deal more damage, right? To get kind of like that critical hit or
Mhm.
whatever. Once you master that, or like once you do it enough times in succession with uh they get rid of it.
Yeah.
It
Uh,
doesn't show up anymore.
so in the original game, the exclamation point never existed. For like regular
Okay.
like certain moves would have cues, like when like the very first time you use them, but like they generally did not like you had to figure out the timing.
And see, I'm okay with that. I don't like this middle ground.
Yeah.
I don't like the middle ground of like, hey, we're going to show you how to do this and then we're going to take that away. It's like, no, either keep it there all the time or don't have it all the time.
Is there like a certain
Uh
move where that's like bothered you a lot? Like did you get worse at a certain ability because they removed it?
Um, yeah, yes, I would say yes more than no. Because there's, because any ability, like whether you're just attacking with, your fists
Right.
or a weapon, like it'll have that. And so certain aspects, like I just had to kind of guess, and then like a lot of the time I just happened to be right, but like I still was frustrated that like I didn't know for certain. Like I never like really figured it out.
Mhm.
Because some of them have like visual cues, some of them don't. And so like when Malo does like hit the lightning strike ability that like hits everybody, there's really no visual cue for that. You just have to like kind of let go at the right time. And then I just like kind of remembered like, oh, I'll hold for like this many seconds or this long, and then normally it's correct. And it's like I wasn't a fan of that. Um, but I like the game. It controls kind of weird. It's like very loose.
Uh,
Um, in a way that I never really got used to. But yeah, I like it a lot. I don't, I think that if I played it more when it came out, I would have been a lot more engaged with it, I think. But because I'm playing it like in a post like Thousand Year Door,
sure.
Mario and Luigi world, it's like solid like 8.5 out of 10 for me. I'm curious to see how like things continue in the story and stuff like that. But yeah, I'm enjoying it. It's cool. It's cool.
Awesome.
Now we're gonna get into our topic of the show.
I do want to
Uh
interrupt real quick
yeah,
for one bit of breaking news.
yeah.
That's for a very specific audience of people that I don't even know if any of them listen to this. I
Okay.
just got shipping confirmation that the analog 3D will actually be shipping. We'll
Well, there you
see.
go.
We'll
We'll
see.
Wow.
see.
Wow. It's
17th
it's
time's
hap
the charm. Let's go.
it's happened, everybody. It's happening. Uh we had Slam choose the topic of the show as our guest for this week, and we're talking about Persona. We're talking about what makes Persona special, what we love about Persona, what we don't like about Persona. Maybe we want like how we want to see the franchise, the direction we want to see it go. Basically, anything's on the table here. So, um, yeah. How do we want to start this off?
I
Well,
guess it maybe we all just say what our favorite Persona game is and why, because you guys have me thoroughly interested in this.
Yeah. Kevin, you go first.
sure. So there's like so many different versions of this game. I'm just gonna say it in the most nebulous way possible. My favorite is 3. Across the various ways that I've played it. I actually still need to go back and properly finish Reload. There was just so many other games where, yeah, I know. Trust me, I feel bad saying that out loud too. Uh, it's just there were so many other games I was playing that were completely brand new to me that I was like, okay, like I know I love 3, and I will experience this. I'm making it a point, and it just hasn't happened yet. Oops. Uh, but I played it when I never played the original version of 3, but I played FES when it came out in the West.
Yeah.
And then I picked up Portable when that came out and played through that version. Um, and it has just always stuck with me as maybe it's a little bit of that like first one you played type bias getting in there. But I think a big thing for me is that having also enjoyed other SMT games, like I was playing Nocturne, back when that was also new. 3 to me feels like it strikes a tonal balance more with older Persona and SMT that feels like it
Would
got
agree.
lost a bit going into 4 and 5. Uh, and it's not a tone shift that's like bad. I just don't like it as much. And I love a lot of stuff that 4 does. I enjoyed 5 overall quite a bit, even if I do have my complaints relative to the other games in the series. But I think part of it is because like with each one I play, I'm like, okay, how does this stack up to how I felt about, playing 3 when that was really impactful for me. Not that that game is by any means not flawed. Like I was pushing for something like Reload to happen for so long because I was like, look, I get it. A lot of this has not aged great mechanically. There are so many things they've done better in the later games, especially the visual facelift that came with 5. It's like if it could just get those updates, like it could shine. And while I have yet to go back and completely finish it for myself, I have played it. Um, I know a few people who like that was their first experience with 3, and they were like, "Oh, this is my favorite one now." And it's like, yes, yes, you are right.
I I do think that like the Persona 3 fan base are the most passionate, like those that like love 3 the most. They like I think they're the biggest pushers on like it's the best one. It's the best one. And I think that there are certain things about that Persona 3 that are really good and interesting. And like for example, I think that the calendar system in 3 plays a part in a way that 4 and 5 don't.
Sure.
Like when it comes to the story, the narrative, things like that. Like,
Yeah.
and I respect that a lot, and I like that a
Yeah.
lot.
It's why the
Um,
calendar system was made, basically, right?
yeah,
Like they had a
yeah,
thematic
exactly.
idea in mind. Yeah.
Um, and think that there were certain ideas that were interesting, but didn't fully, I think, fully work itself out. Like they thought, like for example, like the whole sickness system, right? Where like certain days people are like, yeah, I can't go to Tartarus because I'm sick.
Yep.
And I think that was a way for people to one, it there is like some thematic stuff to that probably. That but also like probably encouraging the player to use different party members.
Sure.
That being said, I never had that effect. I was like, nope, I'm not going to Tartarus unless these people are ready to go.
Yeah.
Um, and that's why I think it kind of like failed because like there are people that are going to be stubborn like me that are like, nope, I have the characters I like to use, and that's what I'm gonna do.
Sure. Or
Um,
like if in the case of FES specifically, you can't control your party members. Like that's a big no to a lot of people.
yeah, and so for a long time I was kind of so because I played FES before Reload, not right before, but just a few like during the pandemic basically. Um, and I was like, I did a lot of research, and a lot of people were just like, "Hey, so like if you play FES, like you're not going to be able to control your party members, but you get access to the answer, which ultimately, like the answer is fine. Everybody, you don't really need to play it.
It's fine. Yeah.
Like that's my opinion, um,
No, I agree. Like as much as I
but
love 3, I'm like answers kind of it's
yeah,
fine.
I love Metis, and that's about it. Like, yeah, and
It is a lot of Tartarus. I
yeah,
It's
mean,
it
it's
is
just a
for
glorified dungeon crawler.
yeah.
That's what it like.
mm,
That's what it
No,
is.
there's a reason all the
Um,
people I know who love that DLC are people who are dungeon crawling sickos. Like that's
yeah.
yeah.
it is appealing to that particular aspect.
Um, and then when you but then with P3P, it's like, yeah, you can control your members and you have the FemMC, but you don't have like that exploration that FES has. And but I ended up playing FES mainly because like I wanted at the time I didn't know what the answer was and I didn't want to kind of be like spoiled on what it was. So I just wanted to like experience it that way. So I played it on a PS3, like, and honestly, like outside of one particular thing that the AI would always do wrong,
Karen
the
Karen.
AI was pretty great for its time. Like, the only thing that it did that was dumb was that when it got knocked down, like when you knock down an enemy, instead of like doing the weakness, if they could do it to another enemy, they would hit the guy that's down. It's like,
Yeah.
no, don't do that. Like that's not what you want to do. But outside of that, AI pretty good, like surprisingly good. Um, and so yeah, I really like I think how the way that they implemented like the gameplay elements into the narrative was really cool. But even with my first time and even with like the first time for sure, but like even more so with the second time, like there are just certain characters that just don't I feel like play enough of a part in the narrative
Mhm.
versus 4 and arguably 5. Like, and it's not like I don't like the characters. It's just once they play their parts in the story, they're kind of just in the back seat for a lot of the game. Like Fuka, like I love Fuka. After you get her recruitment, she's just there for the rest of the game.
Yeah.
Um and like Ken plays an integral part in a specific part of the story. After that, he's just kind of there, like, you know. Um, but again, there's some other really great characters that uh party members that I'm not going to go into the spoilers for because I don't want to spoil things. Like I love uh what's Dami and Mommy's name?
Mitsuru?
Forgot her. Huh?
Mitsuru?
Mitsuru.
Yeah.
Yeah, Mitsuru, like best girl. You know, and I actually do have a more of a newfound appreciation for um Yukari, and I guess like playing through Reload. Initially I just like didn't really care about them. Like I understand like I guess more for a narrative standpoint as to why she's like not just in the sense of like story, but like thematics of
Sure.
her character and her being a robot and things like that. Like I appreciate that a lot more playing through Reload.
Yeah.
But ultimately, like I still think it's a phenomenal game, and I think it's a masterpiece. Especially when I played Reload. When I played it the first time, I was like, this was very very good, but I wasn't like blown away,
Sure.
like in a way that I felt with 4 and 5. But now that I've played Reload, I think it did one just like re-examining things and like uh re-examining the story and the themes and all that stuff. Like I think that 3 is a masterpiece. I think and I really really love it. And but yeah, that's kind of like where I stand on 3.
Yeah. But
Also
your
the music,
but your
banger.
but your favorite one and why is
Yeah, it's 4. Again, I talked about it a little bit earlier in the pod. I think that uh I love one, I love murder mysteries. I'm a sucker for a good murder mystery. Um I love how Persona Persona 4 has, face value, this very like uh it's like the music's J-pop. It's very like bubbly and positive energy type vibe. Like even when you get into the town's like it feels good. The energy is good. And then you like meet all these characters that are just like really struggling with self-identity and things that I think that are like the most like relatable things uh that we get at least in the 3 personas, right? Like Persona 3, like people are depressed and they're going through things, but they're like very specific scenarios that you're not really like able no, I'm not saying you're not able to relate to, but they're just like less relatable than like uh teenagers that are learning about themselves and trying to dealing with these things are like, oh, is this okay? Like, is it okay to be this way? Is it okay to think this way? Like things that everyone has gone through.
right.
And it's done like mostly really, really well. Obviously, we don't even get into Persona 4 discourse with certain characters and things like that. And I am curious as to how what they're going to do with those things going into Persona revival. And if they do change things, because there's definitely a discussion to be had there. Um, and yeah, I love J-pop. I'm a big K-pop guy. So like J-pop isn't too far off from that. I love like upbeat energy music. I do think it has the best soundtrack of the series. Um, all of them are phenomenal, to be clear.
Yes.
Um, and yeah, I love the intimacy of it all. I love like that that they meet at Junez and they just discuss things and just like real life problems. And yeah, I just really really love Persona 4 Golden.
I love going last here because I get to kind of chime in about 3 and 4 and my lead up to why 5 Royal is obviously the best game.
Mm.
And I love 3 and 4 for all the reasons you guys mentioned. I think you kind of nailed it with 3 being much closer in tone, vibe, and even mechanically to the core
Yeah.
SMT franchise that it was spun off from.
Right.
I think there is a lot to be said about that because it even shines through quite a bit in Reload, which Reload was clearly trying to take cues from 5. I think Reload is like my second favorite. I love 4. And these are all 10 out of 10s. I
Yeah.
should preface this with this. Like these are all 10 out of 10s. If I had a top 10 game, all 3 of these would be at the front half of that list. With that said, I love that Reload has that darker tone. I played FES years ago. Loved it, but Tartarus was just a complete repetitive, like, oh my god. Going through Tartarus on the OG is tough. And it takes a lot of work. So um I would say the reload upgrades improve that quite a bit by making each section kind of different. And yes, it's still procedurally generated. You're still climbing floors and
Yeah.
all that, but it puts a much more, I don't know, puts a lot of little bells and whistles in there to kind of sweeten it up.
It also just
Uh,
makes it visually a lot more palatable, I
a
think.
lot more
Is it
appealing
Yeah,
too.
because it's
Yeah.
just the square cutouts from FES and Portable are so obvious, and it's like
Yep.
it's a randomized dungeon in both games, but it feels much more like a randomized dungeon because of how kind of cut and dry the tile sets are.
Exactly. And then 4, mm, I'm with you. I like the soundtracks a much more upbeat. The characters are a little bit more fun, and the actual storyline, even though it's this murder mystery dark thing, is much more a Nancy Drew type thing than a horror movie type thing. And for me, it's just a really fun game, and the characters and the writing and how they all come together, and Junis and the jingle, and even the color palette and the way the game is presented is just so cohesive and just well executed top to bottom. But 5 does a few things that just puts it a notch above the other 2 for me. And I mean, right from the jump, the opening scene, it sets the tone for the game in a way that none of the others in the series do, right?
Yeah, they ease you
Persona,
in much slower.
yeah, Persona is notorious for like a slow start. It's a long build up. Whereas Persona 5, right from the jump, you've got all the characters. They're at this casino heist. You've got the nice anime cutscenes mixed with some really cool fights, mixed with some like stealth elements, with some story foreshadowing, and all of that. So you're getting a real good idea of like what you're in for within the first like 45 minutes, and it just does the setup so flawlessly. Then you go in and it's set, in the city vibe, right? We're not in small towns anymore. It's much larger scale, and it seems like the things that you're doing have a much bigger impact on the wider like world of things. And then the palaces, I felt like the palaces could almost be their own isolated JRPG, each individual, because they're just so widely different. Um, you've got different characters, you've got completely new setting. They're not the same in any way, shape, or form. And they're very like carefully thought out and constructed, which I really like. And then yes, I love the characters. I love, just everything about Persona 5 Royal and everything it has to offer. The side activities, the soundtrack, Morgana. Like I'm a huge fan of what it offers, and then the combat elements, right? You got all of the upgrades from like Baton Pass and all of that stuff that you can kind of tweak and improve by doing some of those side activities as well, and building your relationships. Just seems like everything plays off of it. Every mechanic plays off of each other in such a cohesive way that I just feel like it's got all the systems and all the great things from all the previous games combined into one game. And that's why I would put Persona 5 Royal at the top.
I think when it comes to 5 Royal, I do want to also say that I think oh my god. Maruki is like one of the best video game
Yeah.
antagonists. Like he's so good. I love him
Mhm.
so much.
Yeah.
And but what I will say as well is that like I want to first talk about the palaces because I think that was something I mentioned earlier. Like I just for me like one it's the structure of it and like oh like here's this roadblock, this is exactly what we got to do to get
Yeah.
to it, this is how we have to progress. Like I just like I understand like that's like the theme, right? You're going through a palace to steal the treasure. Like I get like it's not that they didn't make it make sense. They totally did. I just don't in general like the direction that they went with it. And then when it came to the palaces themselves, not a lot of them felt super inspired to me. Like visually cool, like of course, but like when it came to like what you actually needed to do to get through it, a lot of the themes of the palaces just didn't really do a whole lot for me. Like my favorite palace is the bank. because it
Oh yeah,
felt
that's a good
like a
one.
bank. You
Makoto.
know what I mean? Like it
Mhm.
felt like the things that you were doing felt like you were infiltrating a bank, and I really liked that. There are certain aspects of that, like when you're going through the museum, right? Like there are aspects of, but it just like wasn't as like interesting to me. Um, but I loved the bank from beginning to end. Was it the best part of the story? Not really, but like especially if we're talking about like the royal content, right? But like just talking about like kind of more the vanilla experience. um I really love the bank. I actually am in I know I'm in the minority here. I love the spaceship because again, it felt like you were going through a spaceship. um
I liked the dungeon. The boss at the end was not.
oh yeah, no,
Yeah.
we
Well,
we
especially
yeah.
in Royal. Oh
Yeah,
god. Like
Yeah, yeah,
he
yeah.
was a headache in the original, but whoever decided those were the adjustments to make for Royal is a damn sadist. Like
yeah.
Yeah,
just
yeah. I like the casino because you're literally gambling to make money
It's
to,
so fun. Yeah,
you
yeah.
that
know,
one's such a good
I,
one.
I just don't think that like the palaces overall like got me uh excited about like going to the next palace and seeing like what was going to happen next, especially like retroactively looking at it. It's just like, yeah, like there's not a lot of palaces. I was like, oh wow, I had a great time doing that. Like I didn't like the ship. Like I just straight up didn't like the ship with like the rats and like I just didn't
Yeah.
like that.
Oh, that section
Futaba's
was yeah.
pal Futaba's palace was like
Oh,
didn't
I
do a
loved
whole lot for me.
Futaba's. Oh man.
Yeah, didn't really care for it.
Yeah, I
Um,
mean, different people have different experiences at different
Yeah.
and I always say this too. I actually found I replay games a lot.
uh-huh.
And I find like I don't know what I'm going through, the time of year I play it and all that has like a massive effect. Like I found that like I'll play through a game and I genuinely almost dislike it. And then I'll play it like 2 years later, replay it and be like, you know what, I should, I give this one another shot. And then I loved it. So I know it's different for everybody,
Yeah.
but even my opinion changes, on games that I end up
Yeah.
liking or not
Oh,
liking over
sure.
time. So
Yeah,
Yeah.
totally
absolutely.
understandable where you're coming from.
Well, it's rough too because like at the end of the day, this is like the conversation that comes up with like reviews, right? Like it's all context of who you are and where you're at when you're playing a game. Like that was even
Yep.
something I alluded to a little bit when I was talking about, this might just be it was my first game of this particular style bias, because that absolutely does make it more special because it might speak to you in some certain way, and it's that specific aspect that you're now using as your metric. And yeah, like you said, like the dungeons hit you differently than they hit Cam. And to be honest, they same for me. I think the dungeons in 5 are very pretty, but I don't find them mechanically very interesting. They're pretty much hallways with check marks, but they're visually way more engaging than what was in 3 and 4. But I also kind of liked the randomness and the always having to adapt and not knowing what you were going to get into next. And so it's just one of those things where like yeah, people's taste varies, but also where you're at when you play it absolutely does have an impact.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I played
So
Royal and I platinumed the original and Royal, and I'm trying to remember. I've probably played, and I've replayed Royal one time. I've probably put like 400 hours into Persona 5.
Yeah.
But it's like, it's one of those things where, yeah, it's a really, really, really long game. And the fact that, you still went through it, even though, some of those palaces weren't vibing with you, I mean, it just goes to show that, like, these games are even with some of the negative things we're saying about some of them, these games are all amazing games,
oh
like
yeah.
without
Yeah.
question. And I think one of the things that 5 does in the palaces that I wish 4 and 3 did more, and especially Metaphor, because I'll throw this in here, um, was that 5 would have story moments during palace progression
Mhm.
that would force you out of the palaces to either introduce new characters or new story beats that would happen outside of the palace structure. And I think this forced you to kind of not power through a dungeon in 2 days. And it kind of had a decent effect on how like you handled the calendar system. And I think Metaphor actually didn't do a great job of that either.
Uh, I wanted to bring this up later because I don't want to go on a tangent. I still want to talk about Persona 5 specifically, but I do want to talk about the calendar system. And I think I've already talked to Kevin about this on the podcast, but I would like to hear your thoughts on it too. So like please remember we got to talk about that specifically.
Calendar system. Noted.
Calendar
Yeah, so but Persona 5 is interesting cuz like I feel like that for myself, like I have like a lot of unpopular takes on Persona 5 that of like people don't like this, but like it a lot, or I hate this or don't hate this. But like I don't like this, but like majority of people love. Like
Right.
majority of people love Makoto. I don't like Makoto.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Interesting.
I don't like her. I think like I understand that she's kind of like the mom of the group eventually, like as she settles into the group, but like the way that she handled all of her situations, red flags. Like I just like
Red
you know
flags.
like just
Yeah.
it just was like I understand like her background and stuff like that. I'm just like you don't have to be mean about these things though. Like you can be like, oh, I'm gonna black like the way that she just handled everything. I just did not like that. And I also think that she has one of the worst social links in the history of the franchise. Like just
That's interesting.
it's terrible. It's terrible. Hey, I need you to be my boyfriend so I can like be normal with my it's weird. And then it's like, oh, I'm gonna decide I'm gonna be a cop. Like she's just basically doing the same like say what and I'm not trying to get political, but she basically has like her end result is almost the same as Chie in Persona 4. And it's just like, okay, I just wish that there was a little bit more originality here and like in general, like again, we can get to this eventually. I think most social links in all the Persona games are just not good. They're not great.
Yeah.
Like I think that's one of the weak points of the Persona series
That's
is the social links.
that's actually
Um,
part of my push for why one of the things I do like about 3 that I didn't like in later ones is that while I agree with you what you said earlier about like a lot of three's characters don't have like a ton of consistent development or aren't always relevant. I like the fact that all their major revelations are handled and baked into the plot instead of like, hey, you're gonna have this thing happen to you during the story of this game. And then there's kind of an epilogue follow-up version of that if you pursue their social link, and they just kind of like rechew over like it just felt weird burying additional character development into what is technically an optional activity. Whereas 3 is just like, no, this is like these things are going to play out. This is not a thing you can opt out of.
Yeah.
yeah, I just wish that the social links like gave me more reasons to care about a lot of the characters. But like again, that's not for all of them because like one of the characters that I think a lot of people give hate to, which is mainly because of like development stuff, but like I still like the character a lot is Haru. I like Haru a lot, and the reason why I like Haru is because she has a really good social link. She like her, she's like like she's she's a privileged rich woman, and she in the social link she's basically being like, hey, I recognize that I'm privileged because of the money that I have, and I'm going to use that money for good reasons, for good things. And it's like Haru's really cool, and I like her personality, like in general, how she is this kind of like
She's
um
underrated for sure.
Yeah.
she yeah, it's like people say like, oh, she's introduced way too late, and I'm like,
She is
she's
introduced
really
late. It's
she's
true,
introduced
but
late, but like really not as late as I think people
Make it out to be.
suggest. Make it out to be. And yeah, but again, like there are social links that I really like series wide, but in Persona 5, like I love the shogi player. Kasumi?
oh yeah,
No, not Kasumi.
not Kasumi. I know who you're
Uh
talking about off
but
the
you
top
know
of
what I'm
my
talking
head.
about.
Yeah.
The one who was going to be a Phantom Thief and then got cut.
Yeah.
Like I
Yeah.
loved her arc. Like if yeah, a lot. But yeah, I just think like for me, some of the characters in 5 are like hit and miss for me. Like I've played Persona 5 twice now. I don't really care about On at all. Like I just don't. I think Ryuji's great. I've actually appreciated Ryuji more and more over
Same.
time. I love Yusuke. I don't like the whole like weird shit with the painting on naked stuff, like that's obviously a problem. But outside of that, he's actually the person that I think has the most chemistry with the MC.
Yeah.
Like I'm like these two should be gay together. Like that's literally what they're going on a date. Like this
Yeah.
is a date. I really like him. I like Futaba a lot because of her ties to the story. I've said my piece about Makoto. I don't really care for Morgana. I think like Morgana's whole arc is a little weird because like
It is weird, especially
Yeah.
in Royal.
yeah,
No,
because
Morgana
he's
is
like, you guys don't appreciate me. I'm leaving, dude. You bully Ryuji like
yeah,
the entire
constantly.
game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like and then you're like, no, I'm the one being bullied. No, you're not, dog. I'm sorry. Like, yeah. So Morgana, like, nope, don't like Morgana.
I
It's just
honestly
like one of those things where like, I think and here's the thing, I am not against the idea of a party that does not mesh well together. I love Final Fantasy 13, and all those people hate each other, and I love
Yeah.
it. But like, I just something about these characters and how they are just like either written or interacted with. They just don't really mesh well for me. And it makes me sad because there are characters that I appreciated more when I played through Royal, but then there are other characters who were like, yep, nothing changed here, because that's the thing, like that's important to me when I play Persona, because I am making this commitment to play these games for however long. They're like, hey, I want to really lock into what these people are saying and these people are doing that I didn't really gravitate towards last playthrough, to see if there's something that I missed. And having played through both vanilla and royal, I don't really think I think my opinions have mostly stayed the same, outside of Ryuji, who I appreciate, again, I appreciate a lot more now. And I think that Royal definitely, just like in general, makes Akechi like
Yeah.
arguably the best character in Persona 5. Like, he's really good.
Yeah. Very good. I would agree.
Did you have anything else to say about 5, Kevin, before I do my calendar system spiel?
No, I mean you touched on a lot of the points that I would have brought up. I mean, the character-wise, I disagree with the Makoto hate, but I'm 100% on board for the
Yeah, that's fine.
yeah.
I
I'm
know
100% on
what I
board for
am.
I'm 100% on board for the Morgana hate. Just his whole arc and just inclusion and just the way he was implemented in general, I think just it makes him a very punchable character.
Makes him very punch.
It just, like I just want to hit that little balloon head sometimes, just like, "Grr!" But yeah, no, I don't think I have anything interesting to add on top of what you've already laid out.
Cool. Um, so yeah, the calendar system. I want to talk about this for a sec. This applies to Metaphor as well. I'm at a point, like after I played Metaphor, I was in the headspace where I'm like, I think I'm cool with this never being in another video game. Like, it's not that it's bad. It's just I just don't want to deal with it anymore. You know what I mean? It's like one of those things where I played, going into Metaphor, right? Everyone said, oh, you'll have plenty of time to finish all of the social links before the game ends. I didn't finish all of them because I don't know. I thought I had like the time. I thought I had like, because I do think that game kind of like when you get to like the theater and you get to that point of the game, you're not on rails, but the game speeds up tremendously. And then and I didn't realize that it was going to get close to ending as quickly as it did. And so, yeah, and like when I told people like, yeah, I didn't finish all of mine, I had like one or two that I didn't finish. They were like, how? They were literally like, how did that happen? I'm like, I don't know. Maybe I spent too much time doing laundry to get my MP up or something. Because like, it's one of those things. Like, I just as because the game is so long, it's one of those things where if I finish a game and I don't have all the social links done, I get mad at the system because I'm just like, I wish I didn't have to deal with this, so I could have just gotten all this, because it's like, oh, now I gotta play through this whole game again if I want to like finish all of the social links, or if I want to see this specific social link arc through. And considering how long those games are, it's just really frustrating to me. And it's just like, I don't want to kind of have to deal with that ever again, personally.
So
Yeah.
you would say it's tainted you to the point where even if, like, moving forward, they kept doing calendar, but were much, much more forgiving on, like, the requirements to finish all links, would that still, like, would calendar still feel tainted to you, point where you're like, I would just rather not have it? Like, is it a
I
balance
don't,
issue or just the concept from the base at this point? You know what I mean?
I guess like, and I don't know how like y'all approach things, because when it comes to the calendar system, um, but it's kind of like I I approach it like a calendar, like at least week by week, right? I am like thinking like, okay, this day I'm gonna do this. Like I'm going like I'm thinking way ahead of time.
Mhm.
And so uh I don't know. I really don't know. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's one of those things where I even though I Metaphor was my game of the year last year. I don't think it's on par with the three personas. I think it's a little bit weaker. Um, I just felt like by the time I got done with that game, I just felt like a weight on me in a way mentally with the calendar system, that I just like, because I mean, and that happens almost every time I play a new Persona, where I'm just like, where the game properly starts, and then you have the calendar set up, and it's just like, all right, here we go again. Like I got to do this during the day, I got to do this during the night, and it's just there's a fatigue about
Sure.
it
It's me.
mentally.
It's me whenever I open a world map for the first time in a big open world game, and I'm like, "There's how much of this shit I gotta go over?"
That's a fair comparison. That's a fair comparison. Um,
Yeah, for me, the calendar system, I love it. Um, I it's just something a JRPG does different than other JRPGs, right?
for
Yeah,
sure.
it's a time management and thing, and we don't. I mean, who really wants to be doing time management in their video games? I
Not me.
might be. I'm a psychopathic individual apparently, but I enjoy how it uh, does some creative things around pacing with the calendar system. And I think the calendar system being there allows for some really interesting opportunities. Are they always used to their maximum ability? I don't think so. But and I do think the Persona games actually do it a lot better than Metaphor, almost to the extent that like I almost feel like Metaphor didn't even need it. Um
I agree with
because
you.
it didn't really use it in the same way 3, 4, and
It
5 used it.
what's funny is I agree it did use it in the same way, but I also personally love the way it used it because I thought it made the travel aspect so much more interesting. Like, I loved planning out my travel routes.
Yeah,
Like,
I thought that was see, that's one of the creative things I'm talking about
yeah.
that can be done with the calendar system. I just don't feel like Metaphor with the you could mow through just about any dungeon in Metaphor in a few days.
Oh, easy.
And
Yeah.
and it doesn't force you out like some of the other games do. 5 does it all the time, 4 every once in a while. Um 3 with Tartarus does some creative things because it's just one tower and
Yeah.
it's got the dark
Yeah,
hour.
once you finish a block, you have to. Yeah,
Yeah. And then Metaphor is just like, do your thing. And then us that like we're veterans at this. We're completing these dungeons quickly, and then all of a sudden, bam, we have like 40 days of
Oh,
just
yeah.
like
No,
whatever to do.
yeah. No,
yeah,
single trip every time. Why would I ever go to a dungeon more than once if I don't have to?
yeah.
Yeah, if you can do it. And if you do your archetype builds properly, you can mow through these things.
Oh, yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
there's a reason Mage became very popular for at least the opening parts of the game because, the biggest scarcity at that point is MP
MP.
management. And so it's like,
Yep.
oh, I have a class that just lets me recover that.
Yeah, that
Okay.
was the
And
thing
like,
that
that's,
was used to like pull you out of the dungeon is you're the MP management. And
yep.
then we just use mage and then you can fly through these things. And if you really build on that as the story progresses, you almost don't need to do any time management, which
Yeah.
I was like, Metaphor definitely could have used some creative thinking from the Persona games for that part of the game, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Well, I agree with everything that you're saying. Like, obviously they like implemented certain mechanics to make the calendar system make more sense, like the weather system, and like, when it's like raining, like the enemies are tougher in dungeons and things like that. But like, I think that Persona like justifies the calendar system more with like going to school and
Yeah.
like things
Yeah.
like that. In a way with like metaphor, it's like they definitely could have designed it in a way where they did not need to use the
Yeah.
calendar system.
I agree.
And and it's just for me like I'm just a little fatigued on it, and
Yeah.
I just would
It's
rather them try something else.
it's just tough because I think at this point, and not to say that you can't ever shake things up because that's literally what happened with this franchise. There's a reason we've been talking exclusively about 3, 4, and 5. As much as I
Yeah.
love the first two, it's a different franchise, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah,
like
it feels
I
very different. They're
very
much
different.
more SMT games.
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, well,
Yeah.
it's a spinoff, really.
Yeah.
But that being said, I think the calendar system has become such a like synonymous core part of Persona's identity at this point. Like for this brand of it,
Yep.
it would be very difficult, I think, for them to completely remove it. Maybe overhaul the structure of it, maybe not do the same like, how do you spend your morning, how do you spend your night, whatever. But I think I agree with Slam a lot, to be honest, in that like I like the calendar system, and I say this as someone who absolutely hit their face against a wall trying to max all social links in FES, which is considerably more annoying than in like
Yeah.
5 Royal or Metaphor. I mean, that
Exactly.
Yeah.
requires perfection.
Yeah.
And maybe
Yeah.
that's also part of why like it doesn't bother me in the later games as much, because I've seen what the worst of it is. And I got so used to that I just autopilot efficiency now. Like I made it a point in my head when I started 5 Royal. I was like, I'm not gonna try and max every social link. Like I'm just gonna play. I'm
Play
gonna
the
do what I
game.
want. Yeah, I'm just gonna do what I want on each day. I'm not gonna worry about it. And I ended up maxing every social link with a lot of time to spare, because it's
Yeah.
just like I
It's
just know
doable. It's very
and
doable.
the efficient
It's
things
more
are just
doable for sure.
happening. Like like you keep the how to be efficient. I think is also just drilled into you at that point.
Yeah.
Uh Yeah, it's like, again, like I don't think the system is bad. It's just more of a mental toll for me that I just like I wish it was something different. And also I'm curious really quick before we kind of talk about the future really quick before we have to dip out. Um do you think that is the calendar system, cuz it's in metaphor. So do you think that it's stuck around cuz it's just a staple at this point, or it's just because Hoshino is the man in charge, Kevin?
I would lean more towards it being a staple. I mean, look, at the end of the day, the person who's leading absolutely, is the person making that decision. And yeah, maybe if there was a different person in charge, they'd be like, "No, we're going to shake things up. We're doing something different this time." But I absolutely think that would be a major conversation if someone did want to do that. Like if they had a
Yeah.
new head for Persona 6 and he was like, "Hey, I don't want to do the calendar system this time around," there would 100% be like conversations about that decision.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so yeah, I'm not gonna say that Hoshino isn't like part of why that is, but I also think it's just become a staple of like that studio and that style of game that they are now leaning into is like their brand of JRPG.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
just what, and we've talked about this before on the podcast, Kevin, but like I think that Metaphor was just the opportunity of something different. Because I love Catherine. And yes,
Yeah.
it's not a JRPG, but it just feel like even more so nowadays, it feels just like such a fresh of breath air. A breath of fresh
Breath
air.
of
You got this.
a
You got
fresh
this,
of
buddy.
breath air.
Yeah.
Yeah, a breath of fresh air.
Fresh of
Love
air
that.
breath. Yeah.
To like what Atlas is and does. That like it might be my favorite Atlas game. Like either that or Persona 4 Golden, and shout out to Tokyo Mirage Sessions. But like and so like I just wish that metaphor, like when I think like, oh, when I saw that it was gonna be a new IP, I was just like, cool, let's get a change. And we
Yeah.
didn't really get that. And
Felt very
that's like
Persona.
It was
Yeah,
it was Persona
exactly.
with fantasy trappings and a class
Exactly,
system.
exactly.
Like,
So,
yeah,
um, now really quick, before we dip out, because I know that Slam has a hard out here soon. Um, what do you want to see from the future of Persona and maybe like more Atlas in the bigger picture? Slam.
Y- yeah, so obviously I want Persona 6.
Yeah.
I mean, we
somewhere out
got the
there.
revival announcement and it's coming later. I'm sure Persona 6 is probably even further than that. Um, but these are my favorite games, and each mainline Persona does really new, innovative, and creative things, and they're huge step forwards. So I want to see a little bit more creativity in the systems. We saw a lot of innovation with Persona 5 and the combat, and we did talk a lot about the palaces, but the palaces being the structure the way they are, and yes, it still has the bones of Persona, but they did a lot of really interesting new things. Um, and I know there's probably some challenges there with the development team about how you innovate on something like Persona 5 that was such a massive success. Whereas Persona was like a little bit of a niche thing, even within the genre for a while until Persona 5 came, and then it became much more mainstream. So many spin-offs, so many people know what Persona 5 is. It's instantly recognizable. Um, so I think that there is some pressure there to kind of make Persona 6 the bigger, better thing, right?
Yeah,
And there's going to be, I mean, Persona 5 was like critically acclaimed, widely known as one of the best, not only one of the best JRPGs ever made, but critically it's gone down as one of the best games ever reviewed. And so there's some pressure there to kind of like build on that and make sure that they're not taking steps back. I think I want to see innovations to the calendar system. I want to see innovations to the combat system. I want to see some stuff that they took in that they used in Metaphor, which Metaphor may have been kind of like a little opportunity for them outside of the Persona mainline series to experiment with some new innovations. Something like the archetype system and things like that give you a little bit more build options and how you structure your squad,
Hmm.
and a little bit more customization in how you approach combat in general. But yeah, that's kind of what I'm looking for Persona 6.
Do you think they should stick to high school?
That's a good question. I wouldn't be opposed to them going out into like college, you know what I mean? Like taking a step out of high school. But I'm also not one of the people that is like completely against them staying with what the series is, the series staple,
yeah,
as you put it, and
Yeah.
keeping it in high school. And if they wanted to venture outside of that and some spinoff or some new IP, I'm okay with that too. But it would be an interesting opportunity for them to do uh, college and maybe even dual protagonists. You know what I mean? I think there were some rumors around that, and I'd be interested to see how they format that.
Kevin?
yeah. I mean, to expand a little bit on because I agree with a lot of what you're saying, Zane. I think one of the biggest things is just seeing uh, having things changed up again in some way. And part of that is like, what can we do to like spice up the combat some more? I think for me, some specific areas that stand out, as I mentioned earlier, well, I think Persona 5's palaces were a major visual upgrade. I would love to see a bit more thought go into general like dungeon design and making those a bit more interactive and interesting to me. Whether that's with like alternate pathing or different kind of challenges to resolve outside of just like, okay, here's this one bottleneck that needs you to go do this thing, kill this guy, and then that door opens. It's like, what can we do to like just mix this up a little bit, and I think make that dungeon aspect a little more interesting. Um, when it comes to characters, main characters, I do think we're hitting this point with the way people feel about silent protagonists, where personally, I'm all down for silent protags. I love them, but I do think with the way Persona works, there needs to be a committal to either A, giving us a protagonist with more personality, or B, having the silent protagonist be something a little more moldable. Like, I understand why they didn't do like the heroine route for Persona 3 Reload, because that was like an entirely redone script, and like there's all kinds of unique interactions and different dialogue plays out because you're playing as like, a female version of the main character rather than male. But like, you don't have to design the game that way from the start. You can just have a couple very specific things be different if you think that's important for them to be different, and then give the option. I just think if we're going with the idea of silent protagonist as like, something for you to step into the shoes of, giving a little more freedom with how that character looks and is designed could go a long way there. Or just commit to, you have an intentional main character, you have a particular arc or story you want to tell with them, so let's fill them out a little more. That's something I think would be more interested in seeing, like, tackled as kind of a main assumption. I do think high school, that's probably just locked in, guys. Like, I know that's like a thing.
Yeah.
People are like, oh man, like, wouldn't it be cool though if they did college? I'd feel less creepy hitting on characters that are like this age. It's like, I agree, but it's also not changing. Like, I think high school is such, similar to the calendar system. I think that's just such a core part of that identity. Yeah. And I would be very pleasantly surprised to be wrong. Like, don't get me wrong. Like, if they did a major shakeup like that, I'd be like, oh, cool. Like, that's a change. Like, that's something that's like, I'm really curious how this is going to play out compared to the others. But I do think that's just sort of a core identity thing at this point that they're just not going to mess with.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, ultimately, based off the things that I think are going to stay the same, I just like want the social links to be more interesting, or reincorporate those to like make those characters, especially like the main party members, matter. Post their like specific arc in each game,
Yeah.
or in the story. And yeah, I mean, I think that outside of that, in the calendar system is like a whole thing, but I just like, I recognize that is not going away. I just think that it's something, for me, it's just something that puts a lot of unnecessary mental strain, I feel like.
Sure.
But yeah, I think I would really love just like a real kind of like shakeup where it's not like the Phantom Thieves, right? Like I don't need like the members to have an outfit change when you're dungeon crawling. Like I don't need like that flash and flare.
Sure.
I would actually like them to go back to something a bit more intimate, in a similar vein to 3 and 4, especially 4, and go from there. Uh, yeah, because I just think that like, especially with 5 and Metaphor, it just feels like a lot more like saving the world type vibes. And I just don't, we have plenty of JRPGs like that, and I just would like a little bit of a change, or like a step back, into something a little bit more small scale. But yeah, cool. Well, Slam, thank you so much for joining us this week. It's great having you. For those that don't know, where can the people find you?
Slam Zany on all the things. I'm on YouTube at Slam Zany. I'm on Twitter at Slam Zany. And then on the Level Up Legacy podcast. So you can find us. We have a Twitter account. We've got our main YouTube page, the Level Up Legacy podcast. We started it around the same time you guys started yours. So at the beginning of this year, we're coming up on our 1 year anniversary at that podcast. We're just having a great time. So yeah, that's where you can find me right now.
Yeah, it's great having you. We're gonna get everyone over there to come on eventually. So we're excited to have you and the others on. And
Yeah, thanks for having me on. This was amazing.
Yeah,
I
absolutely.
really appreciate it.
Real good conversations.
Yeah. Kevin, do you have anything for the people before we dip out?
Nah, man, I got to talk about Steam stuff soon.
Alrighty. You can follow me on socials at Cam Final Mix, and you can follow Kevin on socials at Kevin Kenson. Thank you, everybody, for listening to this week's episode. And until next time, we'll catch you later.
Later.
Later.